Hello everyone, my name is Nael. I'm a computational journalist and the creator of Code Like a Journalist, a free online open source course about data visualization and data analysis with TypeScript. In this lesson, we're going to talk about writing and reading files. But first, if you want to know when new lessons are available, subscribe to the newsletter. You have a link on the lessons page. Give a star to the GitHub repository. You can also, of course, subscribe to this YouTube channel. So let's talk about files. It's really important to know how to write and read files because when you are running your code is in your computer's memory. But as soon as you stop the script, as soon as your computer shuts down, all of this memory, which is very fast, is being wiped out. It's called the RAM, the random access memory. Very fast, but it's not permanent. So if you want to keep data around, you need to write the data somewhere. You need to write it to a file. And this file will be stored in your computer permanent storage, your hard drive. And of course, it's very useful. If you write data, well, you also need to know how to read data. How do you open a file and read its content? This is what we're going to do today together. I have VS Code open over here. So let's create a new project. So you can open a folder. Here we go. I have my test folder. I'm going to work in it. And we can create a new file, main.ts, deno.json, and that's it. Console log hello. And we can do deno run watch check main.ts. We're ready. So how to write a text with Deno? With Deno, it's actually very, very easy. You have access to something called a global object, which is called Deno. And you'll have a lot of functions available there to do all kinds of things. One that we will use today is write text file. You can write all kinds of files. But here we're going to focus on text files because this is usually how we store data. So we can use this function. And this function expects two parameters. So first a path, which could be a string or a URL, but we're going to use a string. And the second parameter is data, which should be a string or something else, but we're just going to focus on the string. You can see that you have some options as well. So let's do the path first. In our case, we're just going to write it in the same folder. So we can do hello.txt. And the second parameter, that's another thing that I love about VS Code. When you type your parameters, your arguments that you're going to pass to your functions, you can see where you are in the pop-up window. So in case you haven't noticed, you see that right now path is in blue and its type should be a string. So I know this. I'm going to write a string, then the comma, and now you can see that the highlighted blue section is the data, the second parameter, and this should be a string too. And we can just write hello. Cool. There's another thing that we need to do, which is await. I'm going to explain why we need to use await. Actually, here you don't really need to use it, but it's just best practice going forward. I'm going to talk about that. So if you save this, oh, you have an error. Well, it's not really an error. It's a warning. Deno requests write access to our folder test. We have more information, and then it's telling us, hey, do you want to allow this to happen or not? So one thing that I really like about Deno is that it's super strict security-wise. When some code is trying to write something, read something, or fetch something over the internet and other stuff, Deno will warn you. It will tell you, whoa, 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 whoa. This script is trying to do that. Is this expected or not? And it's super important because when you start working with code, sometimes you download code from the internet, sometimes you use some code that someone else wrote, and you're not totally aware of everything that this code is doing. You need to trust the person who sent you the code. Deno, by default, will warn you if there's stuff that is not expected. And here, it's not expected. He's not expecting anything to write a file. To tell Deno, yes, this is right, you can say, yes, I allow you by doing yes. Press enter, right? Or another way is to give permission when you type your command. So you can say run, watch, check, and here you can add an extra option, which is allow write main.yes. So this here tells Deno, hey, yes, it's okay. Main.yes can write whatever it wants on my computer. This is expected. And so now if you run this, we don't have any errors anymore. Warnings, not errors. And you can see that we have hello.txt. And inside the file, we have hello. We just wrote data to a text file. And this here will be stored forever. If you are on Mac, you can do reveal in Finder. And you see I'm in my test folder, and you can see that, yeah, the file is actually there. I can open it with text edit, no problem. So this is how you write files. Of course, now we just wrote hello, but we will write data in the future in next lessons. So this is how you can write text files. Very easy. Now, if we want to read files, to do that, we can do await Deno read text file. And you can see that the first parameter is a path, and then we have options. We won't use options. So the path is very simple in our case. We just would like to read back what we wrote. So hello.text. This is a relative path. So with this dot and slash, I'm saying, hey, start where main is, which is in the test folder, and you should see hello.text next to it, which is here. So this is the path of the file. Now, if you save this, you'll have the warning again. Whoa, Deno request read access to hello.text. That's true. This is trying to read a file on your computer. Again, this is a security feature that is quite nice. If you are downloading some code from the internet, or someone is sending some code and you are running it, and the code is reading secret files and confidential data on your computer without you knowing, it could be quite bad. So you have a security warning when some code is trying to read something on your computer, which is nice. As before, you can type in yes if you want, and this will work. Or instead of doing, so here, I'm sorry, I went a little bit fast. I did Command K to clear the terminal, and I'm using the up key, the up arrow key on the keyboard to go back to the previous command I wrote in the terminal. And so here we can use the allow read flag. So this will tell Deno, hey, when you're running main.yes, watch it, check it, but also it's okay if it tries to read some files on my computer. Here we can do console log data. We can put the data inside the variable. So we're creating the variable data, and Deno will read the text file and put whatever is in it inside data, and we're going to log it. So now if we save this, oh, I need to run this in the terminal, and I save this, it works. You can see that we are reading hello. if I change this to hello, Nael, and I resave that file, hello Nael, we are reading the data from hello.txt, we are putting it inside data, and we're logging data. We have access to that data now. Okay, so this is great, but it's a bit annoying to have to always write allo read or allo write in the terminal every time we want to read or write something. So Deno's team created a shortcut to allow everything by default. Check -a main.ts. So this means, hey, your script can do whatever it wants. No problem. When you are running your code and you know exactly what it is doing, it's fine. You can use -a. When it's the first time that you're running someone else's code, it could be great to just run it without any permission to check what it's doing and to be sure that it's not storing a virus on your computer or stealing some confidential information. And you see with -a, now we don't have any warnings. It's able to read, to write, to fetch data over the internet, anything it wants. So we know how to write data, we know how to read data. There's something else that I wanted to show you, and it's, let's talk about JSON files, because we use them a lot in TypeScript. We use them a lot over the internet because the web runs with TypeScript and JavaScript. And JSON is everywhere. And writing data as text is a pretty standard practice because it's easy to use, easy to understand. CSV files, for example, it's just data separated by commas. CSV means comma separated values. When you work in TypeScript, usually you'll want to use JSON files. And let me show you an example right here. JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation. And basically, it's a file format that allow you to write numbers, strings, arrays, and objects, booleans, very easily, and to retrieve them by keeping their data type. So here, for example, we have a data variable. We have an array of 2 objects, a name, Nael, age 25, John, age 30. Let's say that we would like to write this to a file to store that data. You can use await Deno write text file. The first parameter argument is where we want to write the data. So here this is equivalent to this. It will just write it next to main. And after we have something with JSON stringify. If I remove this, we have an error because write text file is expecting text. But data is not text, it's an array of objects. So what we use is JSON, which is globally available, .stringify. This function here will grab any JavaScript data and create a string with it. It will return a string. So now write text file will use the stringified version of data. And if we save this, you will see that we have data.json. And inside we have our array. And VS Code knows that this is a JSON, so it's JavaScript object notation. So you can see that everything, the types are kept. Nael, age, Nael is a string, age is a number, everything is kept. If we wrote the same data as a CSV, we would have lost all of the data types because in a CSV, everything is just text. So age, for example, would be just text. JSON is it's very practical to use that in TypeScript because the data types are kept. The other great thing about JSONs is that now, since this is a JSON, we can also import that data. In the functions lesson, we imported functions. If your data is a JSON file, you can import it directly. You don't need to do the read text file. You can just import it straight away. And you can see that this is what we're doing. We are importing data, and this could be named anything you want. Could be banana. Import data from data.json. So this file here. And we just have to say with type JSON. It's just so Deno knows that it's JSON and we want it as JSON. And so now when we log data, you can see that we have our array of objects and everything, the data types are kept. Age is still a number. If we wrote the data as a text file, age would be text because there's no data types inside the text file. It's just inside JSON files. The other thing that is really great about using JSON is that now this here is typed. So if I want to use a method and I do a dot, well, Deno and TypeScript, they know that this is an array of objects, right? Because the data types are kept. I can select the first element and I'll have the IntelliSense kicking in to show me the keys available. Again, that wouldn't be possible with text, regular text. So this is why JSON files are so useful and are so widely used. If you try to access a key that doesn't exist, you'll get an error because everything is typed. All right, let's talk about await. I'm just going to grab this. It will help us. So remember we wrote await in front of Deno write text file and in front of Deno read file. This is because in TypeScript there's two types of function and methods, synchronous and asynchronous. In the functions lesson, we just wrote synchronous functions, so there were no need to use await in front of them. When your computer is using something synchronous, for example, JSON stringify here, there's no wait in front of it. It's a synchronous function. Your computer will run this code and wait for this code to be fully executed before starting working on the next line. This is really just what you would expect from a computer. You start on line 1, you do line 1, you do line 2, you do line 3, you do line 4, etc. You wait until you're done with the line before executing the following line. But there's something in TypeScript which is called asynchronous functions or methods, and the trick is that Deno won't wait for an asynchronous statement or call to be fully done before going to the next line, unless you tell it to do so. The reason why is that TypeScript is actually a superset of JavaScript, the language powering the web. And on the web, if you have 10 images on your website, you don't want to wait for the first image to be loaded to then try to fetch the second one and load it, and then the third one, and then the fourth one. That would make the websites very slow. So instead, you use asynchronous functions. All of the images are being fetched at the same time and just loaded when the download is fully done. And this is how modern websites work. This is why when you land on a page with a lot of images, a lot of components, they will all load in parallel, concurrently. It's not really in parallel, and it's way faster. So in theory, write text file and read text file. These functions are able to write a lot of files or to read a lot of files concurrently, which is a very, very powerful feature when you know what you're doing. It can massively increase the performance of your code, but this is quite advanced. So what we're doing here is just to use the await keyword to say, hey, Deno, I want you to be fully done with this before jumping to the next line. Just be sure that this is done before you do the rest of the code. And don't worry, your Deno and VS Code will let you know when you need to write await. You can see that await functions that are async return a promise. And so you need to wait for the promise to be fulfilled most of the time. In our context, we're going to wait most of the time because it will make our scripts and our code simpler. And in case you write an await in a place that it's like not doing anything, you'll see that the code won't crash. It won't trigger an error. It's just that you'll have a warning with these 3 dots just telling you, hey, this await is not doing anything because this here is not async, it's sync. So that was the long explanation about await. Don't worry about it too much. We are going to practice that. And it's always for the same kind of things, writing files and fetching stuff that you will want to await. There is another syntax that you can use as well with then, but we'll keep things fairly simple for now. And that's it. You know how to write and read data files now. Congrats. If you enjoyed the lesson, subscribe to the newsletter, subscribe to the YouTube channel, add a star to the repo. Bye-bye.